Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Convention with the conclusion of our Dark Knights Death Metal recap. It's been a while since we've been here, haven't we? A long while. There's some reasons behind that. One is the fact that, yeah, things got a little jumbled up with releases at the end of December. Also, I kind of decided, and because of that, I also decided that with the two one shots that were coming out, eventually three one shots that came out as kind of aftermath, that I'd wait till those were all out. We could do the conclusion and the aftermath. So, where we left off, the heroes and villains of the DC universe had banded together, and in an effort to cut off the armies of the Darkest Knight, formerly known as the Batman Who Laughs, they destabilized the Earth. Yeah. Anywho, but there was a battle that was raging on various fronts. On the remains of Earth, you had the main battle. Almost all the heroes and villains banded together against the forces of the dark versus whatever the dark multiverse has to throw at them. Some heroes and some of the heroes had died in battle. It was very much a case of things are going to be different. Maybe, probably, possibly, probably not. Anyway, Wonder Woman was headed towards the Forge of Worlds, and there was another battle going on within the multiverse to stop the. There was a battle going on within the multiverse led by the Green Lanterns to further to further hinder the efforts of the Darkest Knight. The Flashes were attempting to get the Mobius chair, and the Darkest Knight himself was fighting Perpetua to the death and winning. So, Dark Knight number 6 pretty much covers the battle. We've got everyone working together. Batman, using his Black Lantern ring, has resurrected the Batman Who Laughs, because technically he did die. So Lex and Superman fighting together. The passage to the Forge of Worlds. Wonder Woman's leading a whole bunch of Lobos made by drops of his blood. The battle between the Darkest Knight and Perpetua rages on. And for a moment, it actually kind of seems like maybe the heroes are winning. But within the passage to Forge of Worlds, though, the army of Lobos is taken by the fear of the one who laughs. However, Wonder Woman was able to make it to the Forge of Worlds, where she encounters Darkseid and his baby Mobius. However, there comes a point when it looks like the tide on Earth, where it looks like maybe the tide is turning for the better, and the heroes and villains are winning. However, as the Darkest Knight has just defeated Perpetua, no, that's not that simple. Besides, there was still a whole issue left. So but yeah, more versions of more denizens of the Dark Multiverse. All the crows. And Wonder Woman's trying to figure out just how to, the machine she needs to build in the Forge of Worlds, but then she remembers something. And realizes she knows exactly what she needs to do. But we get this whole thing, basically kind of a, okay, we're gonna, a slight cessation of hostilities, we're gonna have a little day. And then when Wonder Woman shows up, having basically drenched herself in the gold, having turned the golden lasso into armor for her literal entire body. Then we get last stories of the DC universe. Basically, after, before, in the lead up to the final battle, it's the various heroes, and villains coming together, and gets a lot of it is the framing story featuring the Titans. Then you get Sinestro and Hal Jordan meeting up, and basically in a graveyard of Green Lanterns, with our Green Lantern rings everywhere. But Sinestro puts a green ring on, and him and Hal go flying. Diana, we got a bit with Diana. There's a story involving Diana as well as Hippolyta, the Riddler, Donna Troy, and it's kind of looking back over everything. We got a Green Arrow, Black Canary story. We also see some of the other multiversal heroes we've shown, including the Goth Patrol, or the Gloom Patrol from Earth Goth. Yes, you heard that right. Joker Sharks. But they also meet a young heroine who is Black Arrow, Laurel Lance Queen. She's from a gender flipped universe. But yeah. Well, that's not gender. I don't know if it's gender flipped or not, but yeah. It's hard when the two characters are both blonde. But she does kind of interrupt Ollie proposing to Laurel, or to Dinah. Then we get a bit with Aquaman, I guess kind of redeeming himself for everything, for working with the One Who Laughs. And spending some time with his wife and child. The Bat family have a family night, which includes Nightwing and Batgirl arguing about their feelings and giving into their feelings, and yeah. Superman does a time travel thing. He's constantly running, flies for an hour, go back in time for an hour, fly for, helping as many people as he can in the span of an hour via time travel. And then the framing story concludes with, as there was kind of as it kind of split with Wally showing up. It's kind of things happened, but we're all we're here together. And then dead Roy shows up, dead, but he shows up, and then basically get one of those big old shots of everyone charging off into the and charging off together. Love it when you've got these trades masquerading as one shots. Next up is Secret Origin. It's Superboy Prime redeeming himself actually. Goes into his history. For those unaware, Superboy Prime is supposed to be the Clark Kent of the real world, with Earth Prime being the real world. Yes, I know, finger quote, blah, blah, blah. Don't care. But, young Clark is a comic book fan, especially Superman. I mean, hey, come on. Superhero literally shares his name. How can you not be a fan? But he's picked on quite a bit. He's pretty much got like one friend. And then one night, at a costume party, he actually flies, and then meets Superman. Gets dragged into the Crisis on Infinite Earths. His Earth gets destroyed. What's brought up later is what happened later. After Crisis on Infinite Earths, since his Earth has been destroyed, he was among the survivors of the multiverse that, instead of being folded into New Earth, went into multiversal limbo, basically. And during Infinite Crisis, he got out. At first, in the lead up, he was helped out by Alexander Luthor of Earth 3. But yeah, he eventually got out. He'd also been punching reality and making shit. Yeah, it's a thing, okay? Punching the walls of reality. But yeah, so Superman and his allies in the final battle, including Lex, take on the Dark Multiversal Supermans. Prime gets involved. And he even he ends up going up against the One Who Laughs. But the One Who Laughs, or the Darkest Night, basically, hey, look, you'll get to have that perfect world you want if you come back to my side. But it seems like during his fight with the Darkest Night, he falls. And no one knows it was him that fell. But he actually did manage to prevent the... looks like he actually stopped all the extra worlds from coming into he actually got the rest of the Dark Earths away. Then we've got Last 52, War of the Multiverse. If I remember correctly, this is the one that... so you got a Wonder Woman story with her versus the Darkest Night. We see the Flashes and the Titans working together. The Superman family taking on the more of the Superman family taking on the Dark Multiversal Superman. Batman dealing with Black Lantern, Batman Who Laughs, the Atom, kind of looking back over his everything. And dealing with a dark multiversal version of himself. And he actually takes a page out of the Hank Pym playbook and gets big, and stomps on his Dark Reflection. Next up is a Lois Lane story. Regular Lois takes on a Dark Multiversal Lois, who basically went after all the superheroes herself, killed Superman. Killed Superman, killed Wonder Woman, so on and so forth. But Lois is able to. Actually, regular Lois doesn't defeat her. She gets tossed, but if I remember correctly, she gets saved by Superman. Then we've got a Raven story, involving, of course, also involving the Titans, as well as a dark multiversal version of the Titans, led by a demonic version of Raven. But then we get Penguin focus one, where he deals with a bunch of his dark multiverse counterparts. Constantine story where Constantine deals with a dark multiverse version of himself, who's more punk rock than anything, and well, they decide they're not so bad, so they have a few drinks, and Constantine poisons his fellow. The other Constantine's drinks. Finally, we get a Swamp Thing story. Kind of also works a lot with the Swamp Thing taking on one of the really major dark multiversal versions of himself. But overall, not a bad tale. Not a bad batch of tales. So I'm trying to move through this quickly because I don't want a repeat of last week's King in Black run recap. Then we get Death Metal number 7, which is the conclusion. We get more of Diana versus the Darkest Night. Additional world. They end up going through various points in time. We see the heroes fight. We all see the heroes fighting. We get more of the big battle between the heroes and villains of the DC universe and the denizens of the Dark Multiverse. But it's a really grim fight. I mean, like, the entirety of the Bat family is killed. But yeah, heroes upon heroes are killed. At kind of want to say somewhere around the dawn of creation. Yeah, at the beginning of it all is when Wonder Woman and the Blackest Night have gone, and the hand that formed the multiverse is basically Wonder Woman uses that to attack, to fight Blackest Night. And she also pushes him into the bleed. Battle continues, and when all is said and done, Wonder Woman wins, and she has a conversation with an older version of herself, or with a past version of herself, basically the Golden Age version of herself. Things are just, there's the, of course, celebrate. Everything goes back to normal. There's a celebration. And you basically got a new multiverse is forming. The thing is, though, there are two Earths in the center. Also, there's a multiverse of multiverses, an omniverse. One they've managed to pinpoint, it seems to be a potential future world, future state, which is something I'll actually be talking a bit more about future state, aside from just having gone over the issues at some point in the near future. But so there's going to be a group at this there's basically a group of heroes and villains that will be overlooking everything. Then back in 1943, turns out that the journal of Hawkman, that was such a big deal about Dark Knight's metal and Dark Knight's death metal, such a big deal because Sergeant Rock had been using it to try and write down everything he remembered from metal and death metal. That is where everything is. Oh, the other Earth that's kind of in the center of everything, they simply refer to as the Elseworld. Of course, while the multiverse was reforming, however, there was a temporal crisis that would be explored in the one-shot. It's Generations Shattered. Fudge. And Generations Forged. So in Generations Shattered, the groundwork for Generations Shattered started in Detective Comics 1027. Basically, the Golden Age Batman got plucked out of Golden Age by Kamandi. So this kind of shows Kamandi getting plucked out of his time period and gathering various other heroes because of the temporal threat of Dominus and his Linear Men. Group of classic villains. Well, I don't think class, but a group of various villains. Now, among that's our hero, our lineup. We got Sinestro, Starfire. Sinestro's back when he was a Green Lantern, no less. Superboy, Steel, Golden Age Batman, Booster Gold, the Kimiyo Hoshi, Dr. Light, and Kamandi. Where Shattered ends, our heroes had faced off against the Linear Men. It had not gone well, and they'd been thrust into the time stream at various points and locations. Generations Forged picks up with them all in their various locations. Then we learn more about Dominus's plan. Basically, he wants to just have this little nice, this one bubbled time, perfect, untouched for him and his family. But to do so, he's basically got to destroy all the rest of the time. But we find out that Commandy, Starfire, and Dr. Light are on Krypton in the months before it was destroyed. They earn the ire of General Zod and as well as the aid of Kal-El. Steel and Superboy are on prehistoric Thanagar, which does not have a yellow sun, so Superboy is powerless. But there's soon the Eradicator and Nemesis Kid soon arrive to deal with the two of them. In OMAC, in the future that OMAC calls home, Green Lantern, Batman, and Booster Gold are there, trying to, well, get back to at least to their allies, if not to. And, well, yeah. Humanites, Major Force have both shown up. On Krypton, OMAC and Knockout, and who was that? No, it's not Artemis. Have arrived as well. Starfire saves Commandy from them. I can't remember who the third member of their group lineup was, but the heroes basically say, hey, yeah, it is Artemis. Okay, the heroes basically explain, hey, you've been duped by Dominus, and they realize the truth, except for Eradicator and Nemesis Kid. Steel handles Eradicator. Nemesis Kid goes after Superboy. Now, Nemesis Kid, for those unaware, his powers evolved to counteract the power of whoever he's fighting. So he goes after Superboy. Except that Superboy has no powers under Thanagar's sun. And so, but then the goneness, as Commandy calls it, shows up, which has been, making its way through reality. Steel takes the some time tech from the Eradicator. Him and Superboy escape. They try to save Nemesis Kid, but the goneness takes him and Eradicator before they can rescue Nemesis Kid. They end up in the future. Basically, they manage to. Everyone manages to get reunited. The heroes have managed to convince the villains that yes, they are. The villains have been duped. They meshed some of the Brother Eye satellite with some of the time tech, and are able to get everyone back together at Vanishing Point. The heroes then band. They go to what's referred to as extracted time, in the hopes of saying, hey, maybe trying to get maybe talk Dominus down at least, but yeah, no. So big fight between the heroes and villains and Dominus. Yeah, it's not a fair fight. So the heroes and villains brought about enough people. But it becomes a more cosmic fight. The extracted time is destroyed, and soon enough, the heroes do manage to undo what Dominus has done. We also get an explanation for why the aging of superheroes. It's actually kind of neat. It turns out that the heroes exist in what's called the linear verse. Time moves much slowly. youth and vitality will endure for decades, enabling one to be effective far longer than the universal norm. But he's given Batman's given a time bracelet by Wave Rider, only for use during an extreme crisis. And some hints about Batman's future are given to him, but not kind of vague hints. You'll meet great heroes and terrifying villains, make amazing friends. So yeah, nothing too specific. But then the finale, the last of things is Infinite Frontier #0. So after Death Metal, Wonder Woman has been picked to join the Quintessence. The Quintessence is a council of beings, of cosmic level beings. Ganthet of the Guardians of the Universe is there. The Phantom Stranger, the Spectre, Highfather, various others. But she's not sure if she's going to join or not. She wants to. She was informed of a threat that needs to be investigated. The Quintessence doesn't know what she's talking. Claims to not know what she's talking about, but she's on a journey with the Spectre to maybe basically show, hey, look, things are going to be fine. Things are fine. We see that Black Adam is working on turning over a new leaf. In Gotham City, there's a chemical attack on Arkham, which is blamed on the Joker, and seemingly kills everyone. All but one guard and all but one guard, and we find out later, 2 nurses. In Themyscira, Hippolyta is, it's basically assumed that Diana's dead. Some of the Amazons wish to see who will become Diana's successor. Comes down to 3. Nubia appears to be the favorite, but Hippolyta says there's just one challenge you have to endure. In this box is the head of Medusa. So, and the 2 challengers, the two others who wish to, the 2 others who aren't entirely sold on the idea of Nubia being the winner of everything. They like, yeah, you know what? No, we're good. Turns out it's actually the crown of the Amazons, and Nubia is crowned Queen of the Amazons, while Hippolyta will be traveling into man's world. And among others, among other things, she'll be dealing with there's apparently a new Wonder Girl in Brazil named Yara Flor. Presumably, and it does appear that she's not the only, that Hippolyta's not the only one looking into her. Then, with the Justice Society, Alan Scott comes out to his children. It's interesting to point out the fact back in the New 52, on the Earth 2 title, you had an Alan Scott Green Lantern, and he was and during the over the years development, he was revealed to also be gay. So it's interesting that regular Alan is also gay, but he basically, yeah, I've known for a while. It's just that it wasn't, basically kind of society said it wasn't what I was supposed to do. So, but and the big place where all the heroes and villains are meeting up to look over everything is called the Totality. We then get a little teaser for Titans Academy. A bunch of kids going to show up, and one of them is apparently going to become the Red X. The Spectre warns Wonder Woman about Jonathan Kent, but the cosmic beast he's facing off in Metropolis, he actually does manage to. He defeats it in such a manner that Spectre won't admit he's wrong, but he's like, okay, all right, that was unexpected, but you should still keep an eye on him. Keep an eye on him. We then get an interlude with Black Canary and Green Arrow getting a phone call from an unknown caller. The unknown caller, however, turns out to be none other than Roy Harper, Green Arrow's former sidekick, back from the dead, and hitchhiking his way somewhere. We then get a Stargirl story where she's facing a villain named King Midas, and she's late for school. Her stepfather Stripe helps out, and also helps her get Weasel out of getting in trouble for being late. However, he gets a call from one of the Seven Soldiers, and basically says, "Hey, you've got a reason to ditch school today." That we pick back up with the Gotham story. So the one surviving guard has at Arkham has found the two nurses who are using oxygen in one of the storage rooms to stay alive. This is important because there's a security system that was installed a few years back to stop Mr. Freeze from escaping. A protocol that superheats the air and should burn out the excess toxin. However, doing that's going to ignite the oxygen tanks, killing those nurses. So the guard goes. We get a montage of some of the other denizens of Gotham: Clayface pouring out of a drain, Harley cutting a cake, Ghostmaker facing off against some thugs, Catwoman facing off against a young girl, Penguin being told some information, Red Hood being Red Hood, Clown Hunter having most likely taken out yet another former member of Joker's army, Nightwing, even Punchline. But the guard gets to the nurses, gets them out of the room as the oxygen tank explodes. He's horribly injured as Batman, and Batman finds him as he arrives, and the guard dies in Batman's arms as the GCPD shows up to arrest him. However, it turns out there are still 17 people alive inside Arkham. And he basically says, I don't care if you guys go in there to rescue them or not, but I am. And then we learn there's a name of Simon Saint watching all of this. He's a former resident of Gotham. It's revealed in the next issue of Batman. And he's taking a meeting with the Scarecrow. We then get a bit with the Green Lanterns. There's also a Teen Lantern who's basically learning all the knowledge, all the history of the multiverse, as her, John Stewart, and Simon Baz arrive at Oa. At the house, the Totality, Wally West meets up with Barry Allen, and one of the other they've at least named. There's an Earth they've at least named, but not explored yet. It's furthest from all the others. They're at least calling it Earth Omega. But Barry figures that Barry's been asked to join to become part of the whole thing, and at the Totality, and because he's going to be so involved. I mean, he's the first person to ever have breached the multiverse. He's basically passing the mantle of the Flash back to Wally. Figuring that Wally will do great at it. We then get as Spectre and Diana head back. We get little glimpses of other stuff. Supergirl, Lobo, Justice League Dark, War with the Titans. Some stuff with Totality, Swamp Thing, the Green Lanterns, Booster and Beetle, the Suicide Squad, Deathstroke, Aquaman, Shazam. Like I said, various others. But she ends up saying that she's seeing all this change in the universe makes her realize that what, maybe it's time for her to make a change too, and so that's what she does, but she's not into a member of the Quintessence, but Wonder Woman makes yet another change. And she decides to head off into the infinite frontier. That'll drop. Turns out that the Quintessence were quite confident that Wonder Woman was going to lead them into their next stage. But sure that they've already taken care of the threat that she mentioned that they claim to be unaware of. They already took care of it on Earth, and it's in prison on Earth Omega. And they're overseeing it when they're attacked by none other than Darkseid, who is the end. And that is where the issue ends. And that is going to be it for our recaps of Dark Knight's Death Metal. Hopefully something like this doesn't happen again, where we end up having to combine 2 or 3 videos into one, a few months later because of release schedules. But yeah, we'll see what happens. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying live long and rock hard.